There wasn't one in particular thing. It was a couple years of just undermining our dignity, our confidence, our teamwork, and we didn't always realize what was going on until we got together. And of course, she was very open with calling us whores and alcoholics and learning disabled, just like the Star Ledger mentions and just like the letter mentions.
All right, welcome back to the Steve Malzberg Show, ladies and gentlemen. That is Kelly Hanlon, former University of Tennessee volleyball player, coached by Rutgers' new athletic director, Julie Hermann, talking to Anderson Cooper, telling him how 16 years ago, Julie Hermann, as coach of her team, called the girls whores and drug addicts, and they wrote a letter, and she quit. She walked out on the team because they all wanted her, off the team. But she says she doesn't remember any of it. The man who broke the story is with us right now, and that's Craig Wolf, sports reporter and editor for the Star Ledger. Hey, Craig, how are you, sir?
Good, Steve. How you doing?
I'm fine. All right. So walk us through this a little bit. Of course, Rutgers fired their basketball coach because of abusive behavior in a video. Then they fired their athletic director. They hired Julie Hermann, and now it appears that Julie Hermann did exactly the same kinds of things, maybe without the physical contact, abusive behavior, name-calling, etc., 16 years ago when she was a volleyball coach at Tennessee.
Yeah, that's right. And these players who are now in their mid-30s, and of course spread across the country, saw news reports of her being introduced as the new Rutgers coach. And they have said that if it weren't for the fact that she was being appointed specifically at Rutgers, they likely would never have step forward to talk about their experience all those years ago. That it was the idea that she was being hailed as a healer that essentially pulled off a scab that they'd been carrying around for all these years.
Well, here's the thing. We found out yesterday she did a phone interview with ESPN where she said that she has got a vote of confidence from the president of Rutgers, Barkey, and that she said it's been communicated to me that I'm the athletic director. I'll lead Rutgers into the Big Ten. But here's a woman, you could say, 16 years ago, allegations. But here's a woman who says, I don't remember it happening, when in fact they were all called together and they handed her a letter signed by all 16 volleyball members. She quit at that point. I mean, how could she not remember any of this?
I'm going to leave other people to sort of figure that out. As I see, my job right from the get-go was to simply report. This story started out in my mind as a profile, a piece that would essentially let folks know who this new athletic director coming in at this really critical time for Rutgers, who is she? And my reporting took me in a completely different direction, and where these players were all too ready to, I shouldn't say all too ready, but again, as I said before, that they were rankled by all of this. To the point, they said, these players were not at first on the record with me. It took a few days, essentially, to persuade them.
How did you find them? They reached out to you? Or how did you find them?
No, I went through old rosters.
Okay.
And did. I went to the white pages.
Good old-fashioned reporting.
And to. Yeah. I mean, look, I'm proud of the reporting, no doubt. At the same time, we can only wonder as to why Rutgers didn't do this basic sort of vetting sort of work.
All right, let me ask you, Craig. Are you surprised that the president of the university has come out so quickly and given her a vote of confidence?
I think this is, if you actually read his letter closely, I don't know that he quite really went that far. I mean, that's sort of how it's being cast. It's how we're casting it. But it's not as if he said, this is her job. That's not going to change. I think Rutgers officials are right now trying to sort this all out. I think it's not a small thing that this all broke over Memorial Day weekend. So a lot of these conversations were happening over the phone while people were out there,
right,
on vacation conversations and so forth. So
And there will be pushback from contributors, from alumni at the university, correct? I mean, they weren't happy about Pernetti getting fired in the first place.
And potentially from Governor Christie. I know that he's with the president today, so he's not going to issue any public. Nothing's going to happen publicly today, but conversations are going on, presumably behind the scenes.
Right. Hey, Craig, great work. Thank you for good to talk to you again, my friend. It's been a long time.
Okay. Same here.
Take care. Craig Wolf, ladies and gentlemen, editor and reporter at